Hi, I'm Greg Gutfeld, or as I'm known in the hood, Greg Gutfeld. Here's what's coming up. Why are Republican candidates fighting each other and not taking on Hillary? Seriously, doesn't anyone want to win this thing? Then Jeb Bush launches his new slogan, Jeb Can Fix It. Tonight's question, will he campaign wearing a tool belt, an undershirt, and a denim vest? It's what I wear in bed. Plus, Joanne and Kat on a humanitarian mission. If you miss this segment, you will burn in everlasting heck. I've missed you, America. Let's get started. I'm late for my electrolysis.
You wonder, how could it possibly get any worse?
It's despicable.
It's disgusting to me.
We asked him to come on the program. He's a coward. He's hiding under his desk. So if you have kids in the room and they want to change the channel now.
Hello. So this past week, we saw the Republican candidates attack each other like bitter exes, fighting over an ugly poodle.
He is a disaster with his credit cards. He has a very bad record of finances.
I just find it ironic that Donald Trump has had 4 bankruptcies and in his businesses, and who is he to attack anybody on finances?
That's a problem, because every time a Republican goes after another Republican, Hillary gets a step closer to becoming the president. And the closer she gets, the more she cackles like Laughing Sal.
No, I meant that. You know what I'm saying?
They must be related. You know when the police scramble to quell a riot and then a clever thief sees a chance to knock off a Kay Jewelers across town? That's Hillary. She's winning because no one's watching the store. This is bad. Because if that Russian jet was taken down with an ISIS bomb, it means either the bomb was made of undetectable stuff, that's scary, or ISIS now has members working in airports. This makes it even more imperative that Hillary not get in office, because she cannot protect us. She was careless enough to treat classified intel the way her husband treats cigars. Worse yet, she pushed a lie that a video caused the Benghazi attack, a lie so idiotic the media can't even bring itself to question it. I mean, some law-abiding dudes are home watching cat videos, and then they see a video of Muhammad and decide to murder 4 Americans by coincidence on 9/11. If you believe that, you're nuttier than rodent poop. That's Hillary. The Republicans should dine on that at the next debate. Look, there are plenty of liberal outlets that will examine GOP candidates like a proctologist on Adderall, which is why on Tuesday the candidates need to turn away from their own nonsense and focus on her. Because while insults are indeed hilarious, there's nothing funny about a President Clinton in the age of ISIS.
Period.
Let's welcome tonight's guest. He's got 2 first names, but to me, he's always been the one. It's Fox News chief White House correspondent Ed Henry. Well, his past is more skeletons than a medical museum. It's Gavin McInnes, host of the Gavin McInnes Show on AnthonyCumia.com. And he wears a beard to hide a smaller, weaker beard. It's the Daily Beast Washington bureau chief Will Rahn. And peppermint schnapps is her mouthwash. It's Joanne Nosuchinsky. And she's dicier than a game of Yahtzee. It's our op-ed Katherine Timpf from National Review. And even his splinters aren't very sharp. It's the liberal panel. Boo, liberal panel.
Go.
All right. Ed, infighting, good or bad?
Oh, it's bad for the Republicans right now. I mean, Ben Carson, look, what he's showing that's good is that he's fighting back.
Right.
He's getting hammered, and he's fighting. Jeb Bush should have gotten angry at somebody a long time ago and actually stood up for himself and said, I'm not going to take this anymore. If you saw the news conference this weekend, Ben Carson was basically saying, you guys are coming after me in the media, and I'm going to push back, number one, and number two, this is going to boomerang on you, on the media. And guess what? This week, Carson's campaign says they've raised $3.5 million based on the attacks he's facing. Now,
So you're saying attack out, not attack in?
Push back. Get ready. And his campaign manager told me at the Fox Business debate on Tuesday, you will see a new Ben Carson. He will be different than the guy that didn't have a pulse.
We're going to get to that, but I don't know if he should be creating new Ben Carsons yet. Will, this infighting, done?
No. As long as Donald Trump is in this race, I don't think we're going to see any end to any infighting anytime soon. Right now, the Republican Party, what they need to do is they need to thin the herd a little bit in terms of the candidates, and they need to figure out who they are going to eventually rally around. I think you're seeing right now a lot of people in the donor class, a lot of strategists are looking at Marco Rubio as the only guy who could win both the primary and the general, and I think you're going to see a lot of support coalescing around him to fight back against the Trump and Carson wings of the party.
Interesting point. I pretend to believe. Joanne, the advantage that Hillary has, they've settled on her so she can just kick back and eat a chef salad while all the Republicans are cannibalizing each other.
Well, I mean, Bernie Sanders had a moment recently.
That's true.
Where he's going back on the, I'm tired of hearing about her emails. And I was like, well, if it's a good question, we should ask it. So I think he's now realizing, oh no, I might have just handed her this on a silver platter, so maybe not. You're always going to have the infighting, especially when you're trying to find the one person to represent the party. But I think as the polling show, as donations have shown, it doesn't really help or hurt anyone necessarily, because I think the American people just kind of already have their minds made up.
Really? I'm not so sure. I think they're not even paying attention because you have football right now, which is very, very popular among the American populace. Kat, question, when do we start having these presidential debates anyway? They seem so annoying.
Oh, I love them so much. There were only 2 presidential debates before 1960, though. There's one in 48, one in 56. And between 1960 and 1976, no debates at all. What do people have to look forward to?
I don't know. What?
I love the debates. I even watched the Democratic Forum on Friday.
Well, that's good for you.
Friday night. I was tweeting it, though, so I wasn't alone.
I might add that you have no life. Okay.
I was tweeting. I was not alone.
All right, that's good. All right, I want to move on to Ben Carson. He spent Friday defending media reports that he lied in his autobiography, Gifted Hands. First was a Politico story claiming Carson fabricated acceptance into West Point. Carson called the story a lie, though later clarified that he'd been given an informal nomination to attend West Point. So did left-leaning Politico jump the gun? Yes, they even backtracked, changed the headline, and Carson blamed media bias.
There is a desperation on behalf of some to try to find a way to tarnish me because they have been looking through everything. They have been talking to everybody I've ever known, everybody I've ever seen. There's got to be a scandal. There's got to be some nurse he's having an affair with. There's got to be something. They are getting desperate.
But then the Wall Street Journal called into question more of Carson's bio. First, the Journal couldn't confirm Carson's story about hiding white kids in the classroom to protect them from riots following Martin Luther King Jr.'s murder in 1968. The Journal also punched holes in one of Carson's stories during his time at Yale. There he claimed a professor once told his class their final exam was destroyed and that the students would have to retake the test. Carson then claims every student refused except him, who got his picture taken in the school paper. But according to Yale, the class never even existed and the photo is nowhere to be found. So, does it matter if these stories can't be substantiated? And is Ben being held to a higher standard than, say, Obama or Hillary ever was? Well, like I told Ronald Reagan after my heroic stint in NAM, it sure looks that way. All right.
Did you serve there?
No, I didn't. I lied. I have a theory. Okay, we can be very critical about Ben Carson right now, that he's kind of odd. But aren't we all odd? Isn't every candidate weird?
You especially.
Yes. But I mean, like, this is starting to get a little bit distressing.
Some of it is overkill. And
Yeah.
You're going to have the comparison to President Obama, where was this kind of scrutiny in 2008?
Yeah.
It wasn't there, number one. But on the flip side of this, look, we should spend a lot of time on Hillary Clinton and her email situation, the Clinton Foundation and whatnot. And we spend a lot of time talking about the polls that say she's not honest and trustworthy, which could be a problem, even though she's running away with the nomination. But by the same token, Ben Carson is the flip side of Hillary Clinton. He is very honest and trustworthy, according to every single poll. That's the way the American public sees him. So he can push back here. But if there's one of these after another and another and another, it chips away at this sort of halo status he has right now.
Yeah. Gavin, is he, I mean, he's basically saying that media bias is the root of this. And he's got a point. They didn't question a community organizer or a socialist like Bernie Sanders the way they're questioning a brain surgeon. But still, if he's making up this stuff, it can't help him.
Yeah, it's like NWA on the album Straight Outta Compton. They keep talking about how the police harassed them, and then in the same album they talk about how they shouldn't have been let out the penitentiary.
That's so true.
Just because the media's out to get you doesn't mean we don't have a litany of lies in your book. I think he's done now. I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't show up to the debate.
Really? That's a bold
It just occurred to
prediction.
me recently.
That's a bold. You don't. That's 2 days away because it's entirely possible they will ask him these questions. And you saw him in the press conference. He did not take that very well.
He's not going to be there.
Well, you know, he has a great story to tell. He rags to riches, brain surgeon. Could it be possible that he put Fritos on a pizza? You mean he had a wonderful pizza and he decided to add some Fritos?
It's weird why he would feel like he'd need to have to embellish all of this stuff. He does have this fantastic story, but then he's got to come out there and he's also got to say, it's not only did I have this hard upbringing, I myself was hard. We're at a really strange place in like American political culture when you're insisting that no, you really did want to kill your mom with a brick. Yeah. And reporters are saying, no, you didn't. And you have to go out and say, no, I really did.
Speaking of those, he claims he tried to stab a friend in the stomach.
Plus relative. Right?
Yeah, plus relative. And they made a movie adaptation. Cuba Gooding Jr. did the movie. I think we have tape.
Go to hell, man. What'd you say to me? Get off! Benny! What did you do?
Joanne, I think that calls into his question his expertise as a surgeon. If he can't even stab that person.
Right? Exactly. Yes. He just blindly just goes after the bodies.
His eyes are often closed. Interesting thing, too, as well.
No,
when
he's deep in reflection is really what that is. I believe it was Trump on O'Reilly last night said, you know, he keeps saying that he had a very violent past. And that should be the thing that is concerning us, the fact that people are trying to clear him of the fact that, no, your past wasn't violent, and he is trying to say, no, in fact, I tried to kill more than one person in my past, and does that really go away? Yeah, he was a kid. Kids do crazy things, but if that speaks to his character, like lying, violence, do you want that person in the White House?
That's a great idea for a show. Kids do crazy things, but it's really, really crazy, like blowing up things. But the thing is, though, I mean, there's no example of a religious story where it saves someone from happiness. It's always saving somebody from so it fit a narrative because it was it rescued him from a possible life of crime and aggression. But his success now leads to scrutiny. Kat, shouldn't Republicans welcome this vetting? I'm sure his rivals do.
Yeah, I think we should be vetting everybody. You can't trust anybody, right?
Yes.
But
I don't trust you.
Well, you shouldn't. Everyone's only looking out for themselves, or they're not, and those are the people that the more powerful people prey on.
Yes.
That's what humanity's all about. But I'm kind of sad. I really wanted to like him. I really did, and I really kind of still do, but he does seem kind of weird. I just don't know why you put lies in writing.
You mean basically bar stories.
Yeah,
bar stories.
Well, if you're in a bar, you could be like, yeah, you could tell that story in a bar. You can tell any story in a bar. You can be anyone in a bar. But if you're going to write it down, make sure that it's either true or that there's no way anyone would find out it's not.
I sometimes think, and I've said this before, that lies are like a coat of paint you put on a story to keep it interesting. Like it started out like, you know, it's like an apartment and it's fine, and then you're like, I'm bored with this, so you paint it, and then that paint is just paint.
Yeah, but you're elaborating on something that already happened. This is complete fiction, and I think you were just kidding with that clip, but I think you inadvertently stumbled upon the origin of that Ben story. Yes. I think he saw that, and it's totally possible that he believed that happened. Remember when Homer thought he knew the Fonz? Yeah. Because he'd seen him on TV? I think Ben Carson thinks that is his own memory.
Well, but that's based on his memories. Do you know that, right? That movie was based on. It's based on.
Oh.
Yes. So it isn't chicken. We know the chicken came before the egg on this one. Liberal panel, I bet you are so grateful that this kind of scrutiny doesn't focus on your candidates like community organizer Obama or criminal Hillary Clinton or socialist Bernie Sanders.
Oh, yeah. Hillary's never been vetted. We never heard about Obama's birth certificate. That's never been talked about. We never heard about his father, Frank Marshall Davis. Never heard about that stuff. Never heard about the Reverend. Never heard about him palling around with terrorists. You're right. Never vetted.
I will say, liberal panel, that happened on Fox News, the stuff about Bill Ayers, but I don't think the mainstream media focused on Bill Ayers or Reverend Wright.
We've heard about it for years now. And by the way, let me remind you, he was elected twice. Ed said in New Ben Carson, yeah, one that tells the truth. I don't even think his name is Ben. I don't even think he was a surgeon.
Really?
The co-joined twins coming forward and saying what a good job he did. I don't believe a thing the guy said.
You know what? You're a terrible, terrible person. And you're not a person. You're a wall, a panel.
Thanks
and
for
you
noticing.
make me sick to my stomach. And on that note, we shall take a break. So how did Carly do on The View? And what about those brats in that anti-Trump video? And does this V-neck accentuate my pecs? Well, it answer at least one of those questions when we come back. On Friday, Carly Fiorina appeared on The View, which is just like this show, but with even less bladder control. This after The View's host had some stupid comments to say about Carly's face following the CNBC debate last week. Incredibly, the questions they asked Carly were well thought out and offered great insight.
It felt like you were being maybe told to smile more, and I'm actually wondering, is that difficult for you? Do you have people coaching you to act a different way?
But everyone's always complaining about you don't talk about the issues. You talk about complaining about not talking about the issues instead of talking about the issues. You said that you were going to be Hillary's worst nightmare if you were able to debate her. Why is that? Is it because she's the only other woman?
In the recent polls, all four of them, you're polling no more than 3%. So is your campaign, are you guys seeing something that we're not?
I was mistaken. All of those questions sucked. Still, in the end, Carly had the best line of the day.
And I know you used the unfortunate situation with Donald Trump to your benefit. You know, you're making lemonade out of lemons, and you're using the feud with The View as well as part of your fundraising campaign. There's a video that's going out, but you're clearly trying to make lemonade out of lemons here, aren't you?
Oh, so you're telling me that you guys are lemons?
No, I'm just saying.
You said I shouldn't be offended.
No, that is funny, actually. Very good.
It is funny. That is funny, actually.
Oh, wow, the lady told a joke.
The lady told a joke. Isn't that great? We're only allowed to tell the jokes because we're the comedians.
Yeah.
How do you think Carly did?
She did great.
Yeah.
I always think that she does great. She is someone who can think quickly on her feet. She doesn't really get flustered, and she can still have a good comeback, you know, along with facts and other things. And I do think that she shows time and time again that she is the one person who I think could really debate against Hillary Clinton, because Hillary Clinton then could not use that sexist argument.
Yes.
She's debating another woman. So I, for one, would love to see that happen in whatever capacity.
Yes, two women running against each other will never happen in our lifetime. Will, you DVR The View. You play it again and again and again while you weep.
How did this for other reasons?
Yes.
So I'm not moved by their.
What did you make of their political views?
All right, actually going to the View thing, am I the only one who had no idea the View was still on the air and like Raven Simone is live? These are things that I did
She's
not know at
alive
10
and
a.m.
wonderful.
this morning.
It's ironic you're saying that because that is so Raven.
You know what was shocking too is that the whole reason why Carly Fiorina went on this week was because they had said her face looked demented, which was completely outrageous. If that had been said about Hillary Clinton, it would have been maybe 9, 10, 11 days of media coverage, like, when will these folks resign? And they didn't have to resign, number one. Number two, they started this show that was supposed to be a makeup session by saying, okay, you were upset about something we said. They didn't even really say the demented thing. So what do you want to say? Like, they threw it in her lap, Carly Fiorina, which was kind of ridiculous. If you're going to invite her on, just own up to the fact that you made a big mistake, apologize, be bigger, and then have it out with her. But then after that, they would ask her a question about Planned Parenthood. She'd start answering. They
cut her off.
Basically, after 5 seconds, she couldn't answer anything.
Yeah. Is it worth going on these shows, Gavin?
Yes. We're talking about it now. We're talking about her. We're more impressed with her now. You know, she should have just said, look, ladies. You are mad at me because you see Hillary as the woman candidate, so I must be anti-woman. And you're basing this assessment solely on gender. you're being sexist. What policies do I have, Carly Fiorina, that opposes your sensibility? Let's discuss those. Because making it purely about sex is a sexist thing to do.
That is an excellent point, Gavin.
I wish she said that.
I wish she had too. Kat, how many co-hosts has The View had since it first started? I've lost count. I don't know any of these people.
No, that's because they don't stick around long enough. There's been 17 since 1997. That's a lot. That's because they're women.
Oh, really?
Their hormones, they're changing their minds. I don't want to work here. Yes, I do. That's why. Women are always changing jobs every day.
Wow,
I just quit.
Direct a mail to Katherine Timpf. Not me. I disavow everything she just said. Anyway, the thing that got me about this story is when, what's her face? Joy Behar said, I'm a comedian. So they treat speech like it's a 747, and they're in first class, and everybody else is in coach. So it's like, so Trevor Noah can make an anti-Semitic joke on Twitter because he's a comedian, because he's got a membership in the Sky Lounge, right? The Sky Lounge of free speech is only for comedians. But if any of us does anything, it's a comedic exemption. If any of us does anything, we get in trouble. But I will say this, you know who's breaking that? And that is Trump. He's breaking that mold because he's not a comedian.
He gets in trouble all the time, though.
But he still walks away with it.
But it's not trouble if you shrug it off.
Make sure your jokes are funny.
Yes.
And make sure that they're smart jokes. If you're such a comedian, how about something a little better than a Halloween mask? I mean,
yeah,
it's too easy.
It is too easy. I think we've learned a lot this segment, haven't we? All right, we've learned that Katherine Timpf is in big trouble. Just kidding. Still to come, Jeb Bush. Not on this episode. He turned us down. Some other time, maybe. If you leave now, you're probably a racist homophobe who hates America.
You need some carbs.
This week, Jeb Bush made appearances in New Hampshire and South Carolina. These are states hoping to reignite his campaign with a new slogan, Jeb Can Fix It. Only problem, he stole that slogan from my favorite construction worker.
Time to get busy, such a lot to do. Building and fixing till it's good as new.
I love that little guy. We're about the same height. Anyway, people took to Twitter to have some fun with Jeb's new slogan, including Katherine Timpf, don't know who she is, who asked, hey, my room's a mess. Can you fix it, Jeb Bush? To which Jeb actually responded, email jeb@jeb.org with the details. So, Katherine, what happened next?
Well, I actually went for it and sent him an email.
Really?
Yeah, I was shocked he responded. I needed someone to talk to, so I emailed him.
And what was the email?
I said that I have been having problems with a messy room my whole life. Obama promised change, but here I am all these years later, and I'm still having the same problem. I need a candidate with a real solution. He actually emailed me back.
What did he say?
Said, I will empower you to clean up your own room. It will be liberating. You'll feel good about yourself. You will then live a life of purpose and meaning. You'll be inspired to help others to help them clean their own rooms. This is the path to lessen our dependency on Mount Washington. You can do it, and I fixed. Jeb.
You know, that's a great answer from Jeb. I think it might actually have been him. Interesting thing about Kat is I asked her to post a picture of her room and she refused to.
I can't do that to my family.
Yeah, it is disgusting.
It's really, really bad.
Yeah, it's really weird when women have dirty rooms.
Oh, now who's the sexist?
Yes, me.
You think I don't have stuff to do?
No, yes, you're very busy. That's why you can't make your bed.
I can't make my, I'm very, very busy. Can't make my bed. And sometimes can't take out the trash, so, you put the trash into an empty cereal box and keep them in the shelf till your roommate notices, all the normal stuff.
Oh, my God.
I know, it is kind of weird, isn't it?
I'm a great roommate.
I want to move on to Jeb was talking to some kids. Can we roll to that thing?
My dad was such an inspiration for me that whenever I made a mistake, all he had to do was say, I'm disappointed in you. And it would send me into a deep spiraling depression for days.
So, Gavin, this is a really honest thing, but he was saying it to kids. Should you be that honest to kids about depression and your dad?
Well, I guess it's generationally out of context, and to today's wimpy kids, I mean, that's their favorite book, Diary of a Wimpy Kid.
Yeah.
They can't handle it, but that's the way it should be. You should be depressed for days.
Yeah.
My dad would just do a frown, and I'd wet myself.
Yes, that's true.
Remember Wait Till Your Father Gets Home?
Oh, I love that cartoon.
No, the concept. You were scared.
It was an animated show. Wait till your father gets.
Yes, that's not what you're supposed to remember. You're supposed to remember the intrinsic fear of an angry dad when he put his paper down.
I was never scared of my dad.
Well, he screwed up.
Well, no, he died.
You're never going to make it anywhere. You'll never be anything, Greg.
Wait, can I go back to something?
Yes, Ed.
Shouldn't Jeb be like organizing voters in Iowa instead of scaring kids and emailing with Kat?
Well,
I mean, I love her, but why is he emailing with her?
I don't know. There might be something we don't know about. Well, there is something strange, Will. Jeb seems to me has on paper one of the strongest candidates around. Conservative, yes, he's conservative America, running a huge state successfully, but he seems like he's just filled with discomfort.
Yeah, joyless. He just absolutely hates running for president.
Yeah.
I think he'd like to be president. Actually, running for president, he doesn't enjoy that at all. And what's really sad about that depression comment is it kind of sounds like he was explaining the entire rationale of his candidacy. I don't want to bum out Dad.
Yeah, it was just weird, Joanne. A lot of people, I feel like a lot of people are unnecessarily mean to him because he seems like he's got a loss of confidence or something.
Well, it's sort of like a little puppy,
Yeah.
you know, that's like whimpering in the corner. You're not going to like continue to yell at it. I don't know. You feel bad for it. What I think happened was his father, just the day before this speech, had a sit down with him and is like, I'm kind of disappointed in you, in your campaign. So he says this speech and he mentions spiraling depression, and then he has a new campaign slogan, I'll fix it. He probably said, I'll fix it, Dad. I promise, I'll fix it. So he's just projecting all of his own insecurities on these children.
I have a theory before I go to the liberal panel and destroy him. I think a lot of Jeb's problems are with weight loss. I think that he does not feel comfortable being skinny, and whatever diet he's on, which I believe is probably paleo or Atkins, is sapping him of energy. He needs to get back to eating bread and burgers. He can eat the burgers without the bread, but you get this weird kind of, I know it because that's how I lost weight. And the clothes aren't fitting him because he lost weight. He reminds me a lot of Alan Combs, you know, kind of like droopy and wilty, and he, you know, it doesn't exude any self-confidence. And we don't need a conservative Alan Combs. Liberal panel, what are your thoughts on Jeb's wonderful email to Kat?
First of all, leave my friend Combs out of this, okay?
Yes.
Secondly, he's complaining about his dad putting him in a deep depression for a few days. His dad put me in a deep depression for 4 years. His brother put me in a deep depression for 8 years.
That's true. Well, I'm glad for that then. The Bushes have done well. All right. Before we go, a quick update on a story we've been following. This is amazing. Last week, a military blimp broke free from its moorings in Maryland, reaching over 16,000 feet, knocking over power lines in the process, before finally coming to rest in Pennsylvania state, Ed. It was quite scary. No one got hurt, but I couldn't help but wonder, what happened to the blimp? Here's our latest installment of Where Are They Now?
One of the U.S. military's missile defense blimps broke free today, becoming a potential hazard to aviation and a real problem for electricity consumers on the ground.
That was way back in 2015. The blimp, Daniel McDaniels, was tired of other blimps getting all the glory. His three brothers had all signed professional deals out of high school with Goodyear, MetLife, and DirecTV. Daniel, however, was drawn to the bright lights of Broadway after seeing New York's Thanksgiving Day parade. Once he broke free, he wasn't just another blank blimp anymore, he was a somebody. This brief moment in the sun helped him land a date with the Hello Kitty float, but it came with a heavy price. She introduced him to speed-huffing helium, which the pair would do on gambling trips to Atlantic City. They quickly lost everything, including a $10 million loan from the McDaniels brothers. With the wind knocked out of him, Daniel struggled to find his place again. Sources say he's considering transitioning into Snoopy in the hope of getting millions in endorsements for future Peanuts movies. Meanwhile, others doubt he'll ever make a name for himself again.
He's a very flawed man with a kind of a dark, troubled past.
This has been a Where Are They Now?
So big and yet so small. All right, don't go anywhere. More stuff when we come back. If you leave now, you can forget about the bathrobe I knitted you. Quentin Tarantino continues to defend his comment that some cops are murderers by saying he's allowed to exercise his First Amendment right, which is true, but so am I when I tell him to shut the up. The Academy Award-winning filmmaker says he won't be intimidated from voicing his opinion and had this to say on MSNBC's All In with Chris Hayes. Note, All In is TV speak for naked back rub.
Just because I was at an anti-police brutality protest doesn't mean I'm anti-police. And basically, there was a lot of people at that rally, and we were all crying for a lot of things, but there was one thing in particular, which was stop shooting unarmed people. We want justice, but stop shooting unarmed people. But they don't want to deal with that. They would rather start arguments with celebrities than examine the concerns put before them by a citizenry that has lost trust in them.
What an idiot. Anyway, we've been talking about this forever, not making arguments with celebrities. Anyway, police groups are threatening to boycott Tarantino's upcoming movie, The Hateful Eight. But Tarantino tells the LA Times that these police groups are attempting to bully him. Finally, in other news, he still has a face like a flattened potato. All right. Gavin, do you want to commend Quentin Tarantino on his regular, routine, persistent concern for violence in the black community?
Yeah, he's always been there for this topic, and he's finally got his time in court. I mean, it's amazing.
Yes.
I remember him talking about this back in the early 80s.
Yes, me too.
When he was 20.
Yeah, and you know, because it's so great when he talks about this and black-on-black crime and all the gang violence.
He covered that in his first book called The Beast Within.
Yes,
it was an amazing book. But this has nothing to do with the fact that he was in big trouble for talking black on a black talk show and was ridiculed all over the internet for that. And then he was in big trouble for using the N-word too much in his movies in general. Yeah. And then coincidentally, right after that, he went on this Police Suck and They're Murderers tour. Yeah. That's not what happened.
Yeah, exactly.
What happened was just more of the same.
That's a bad title.
America's leading black rights activist.
Yeah. Will, he did not say, let's agree with him, he did not say all cops were murderers, but he took all these cases and he lumped them together, which is in a sense a smear.
Yeah, we probably shouldn't be using him to analyze the police or crime or anything else. At the same time, I don't like conservatives being like, we're going to boycott him. That's like far left stuff. That's the kind of thing, like you said, that hurts my feelings.
I agree. I don't like it either. And also, I love Kurt Russell, and I don't think you should ever boycott one of Kurt Russell's movies. I grew up on Kurt Russell. A lot, you know,
You grew up on him?
No, I did not grow. I grew on him.
So did Kate Hudson.
Yes. No. Did he do Computer Wore Tennis Shoes? Anyway, Joanne, as an actress, what do you think of his performance?
It was great. He'll probably sell a lot of tickets. I mean, he has a movie coming out. This is great publicity. I think it's really interested people. They'll probably want to go out and see his film now. However, why can't you just say something and you can be an awful person, but you can still be talented? Like, I would still do one of his films if he wanted me to do it.
Well, also, he's all of a sudden so repulsed by violence, and yet he's had the most violent films ever made. I think, you know, they've had stabbings. Maybe he'll do the next Ben Carson movie.
I will say, but very funny. I had to respond to, Joanne said something that is actually the problem here. Politics sucks because the thing is, Quentin Tarantino is probably a decent person that you could get along with, but then when he does this, it kind of like goes, oh, I hate him, but you really don't hate him. He's probably fine. He's just naive about politics. And a lot of people are naive about politics, and then they get in, they
True, but then
he
shouldn't say anything.
Yeah,
he should just stay out.
But then, okay, then the argument,
know anything about
the argument is that we should not make jokes because we're not comedians. I can't comment on film because I'm not a director. Everybody should be allowed to say everything. Right, liberal panel?
Exactly, you're right. Let me tell you something.
What?
This is right-wing political correctness. I thought you people on the right hated political correctness. Here he is not being politically correct, and you're upset. Another thing, Greg, you made fun of his face, but it's not okay to make fun of Carly Fiorina's face, so is there a double standard here?
Yes, there is.
Thanks for admitting it.
I know. I always do. Kat, has Quentin Tarantino done anything good?
Well, he was a Elvis impersonator on the Golden Girls once. Yeah, can we get that tape? Can we get that tape? Show Greg that tape. Yeah.
All right. You're right.
I personally think Elvis is kind of a hack.
Oh.
But if you like him, then maybe you feel better now.
No, you're a hack.
Yeah, well, you
We're
know.
all hacks.
Sexist.
By the way, I'm so tired of the word hack. Still to come, Gregmail. But first, Joanne and Katherine hit the streets for the most important intervention of the decade. I haven't been this excited since Marcia got her braces off. It's important to make a difference in this world. So our millennials, Joanne Nosuchinsky and Katherine Timpf, bravely went out into New York City to help others overcome bad choices they made in their life. Of course, I'm talking about man buns. Let's take a look.
Every year, 4 million Americans fall victim to man buns.
The bottom line message of a bun intervention is that there's nothing that we won't do to help your hair get better, but there's nothing that we will do to help your hair continue anymore. It's done.
It's time for a bun intervention.
We noticed that you have like a man bun. So, and there's a lot, I see that there's a lot of people that love you like crazy, but they feel like they're losing you and they want to fight to get your pre-man bun hair back.
Oh yeah, it's true actually. My girlfriend has been trying to get me to get rid of this for like half a year now.
Here we have another man bun. I want to let you know this is a safe space, okay? And I want to help you help yourself. Are you aware of the problem that you have?
I think I am.
Would you agree that you have a man bun?
Not necessarily.
It can be hard for people to admit it at first, but it looks like you're a man and your hair is in a bun.
Okay. Well, it just, you know what, it got longer and then it just got harder to tie in a knot.
Yeah, I understand that these are things that progress, and at first they're not really a problem, and then they get worse. The next thing you know, you do have a man bun.
I think so. It's possible.
How do you feel about his bun?
I like it.
It's okay. We can be honest here. This is a safe space, and he really needs to hear the truth.
No, I really like it.
Okay, obviously the trend has just clouded her judgment.
The one thing that I would accept from you is that you said you would, if you say you'll take it out, everything else is just noise. So, will you take it out? Yes. Take it out. Yeah. How do you feel?
I feel exposed.
Very, very proud of your vulnerability.
Do you think that today, to show your friends and your loved ones that you're committed, you'll take down your bun?
I will.
Another bun down.
Willing to take it out?
You still look like Jesus.
There you go. See, it's now you found the Lord. You took it out, and you found the Lord. Tell everyone out there that it's worth it to take that step.
It's worth it. I mean, if you're really wearing the bun and you don't know what you're doing with that, take that step.
Since the sun's out, would you take your bun out?
Oh my God.
Wait, are you really going to do it?
Want to see it?
Oh my gosh, yes, please.
My hair is pretty intense.
You took it out. Do you think you're a better role model to children now?
Sure, yeah.
I think so too. Thank you for being so brave.
Relapsing. Excuse me, sir. Are you relapsing? Are you relapsing? It's okay. It happens. It's a process. It happens. I think that you clearly need to go back to treatment. Yeah. He's relapsing right in front of us. This is sad. It is a disease. It is a disease. It is a disease. 1 out of 4 man bun users eventually relapses after treatment.
But it's important to still host these bun interventions to help the men in your lives.
It gets better.
It might be the best thing I've ever seen in my life.
It's good to help people.
It is. You really... That
made a difference.
You made a difference. That's amazing.
Joy through bringing joy.
You did bring joy to the world. That should be a song. Wow. Don't go anywhere. Gregmail's next. And my book tour at Sport How to Be Right continues this week. I'm going all over Texas tomorrow and Tuesday. Gutfeld.com for more details.
Time for Gregmail. The address is gregmail@foxnews.com. I read, he answers, then we get matching dolphin tattoos. Here we go. John leads things off with a very simple question. Why was there no Lou Dobbs cameo last week?
That's a pretty good question. Why don't we let the man himself answer that?
Thank you for noticing, John. I wasn't on the show last week because, well, I was running in the New York Marathon. At least that's what I told Greg. In fact, what I did was, well, modestly, way more awesome. Take a look. Rio is beautiful this time of year, isn't it? Well, anyway, thank you, John.
That was amazing.
Did he call you Joan or Jen?
No, John was
John.
the person who wrote the question.
Oh, okay.
He was answering to him. All right, the next one is from loyal viewer Peter Fack, who asks, how do I get my question asked on the air?
It's a great question. I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know how you do that. Yeah,
It's not you or I.
Yeah, it's not.
All right, and finally, we have from Paul Schaefer. If you ever get to moderate a presidential debate, what are some questions that you would personally ask the candidates that most moderators never ask?
Oh, I know exactly what I would ask. I would probably ask them if they would sign my photo of Ryan Seacrest. Because I've always been, I love Ryan Seacrest.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's a very young picture of him.
Yeah, that's my favorite picture of him. Yeah, of the 400 that I have all over my room. Yes. Well, that was creepy.
Yeah.
Yep. Creepy ending to a wonderful show. Story of my life. Thanks to Ed Henry with his first two names, Gavin McInnes with his tartan pants, Will Rahn with that weird beard, Lou Dobbs, Joanne Nosuchinsky, Katherine Timpf, and of course the liberal panel, boo. I'm Greg Gutfeld. I love you, America.